Welcome to the Mamatoosa podcast. I'm your host, Atusa Benji. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Mamatoosa podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be
You've
here.
been on the calendar for like weeks, and I kept looking at it. I'm like, I cannot wait to have Shantel for so many reasons. Let me give a brief intro, and then you can expand, because I know that you do so much. You are so much, and you do so much. Shantel is so precious and so dear to my heart. She's actually my niece, and I'm going to take credit for you being my full niece. She's my niece, y'all. She is my niece. I've literally just watched you
over the last 20 years.
How
did that happen?
I don't know. It's kind of insane. We went to a 50th wedding anniversary together a couple nights ago. I was at that 25th wedding anniversary. And I was like, where did 25 years go, y'all? Like, I just had a baby. Hannah was a baby.
Blink of an eye.
It goes really, some days were so long that I thought they would never end. But then the years were like,
so
boom,
fast.
boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's insane. Shantel, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Gosh, so many different things.
Yes.
I'm a mother of 3. I'm a wife. I help my husband with his practice. Then I founded Free by Shantel back during COVID, which is a dance movement that helps empower women to feel comfortable in their bodies, to be more proactive with their health. And it's all through positive energy, through movement and music and dance and community. So that's really where I've been putting much of my focus right now, and trying to reach as many women as I can, and just spreading that love and light to everyone.
Many things that are awesome. It sort of happens serendipitously, right? It wasn't like you planned to have this huge dance movement.
No, I didn't plan it at all.
And I purposely don't use the word accident, because I think accident takes universal energy, God power out of it. I think that serendipitous is fun. There's a reason it all worked out the way that it did. So what happened?
I think it just happened so naturally and organically, and came from a place from my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back a little bit to 2018. So I've been dancing my entire life, and it was something I did as a hobby and a passion. My parents always said, you have to have a career. Dance isn't a career, Shantel. What do you want to do? And I ended up in finance, which I ended up loving because I love working with people. So anything that incorporates communicating and just being in touch with other people, I love. I did that for many, many years. And then I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I continued to dance. I promised myself that every day before my treatment, I would go dance. I would walk into my radiation clinic, and I was sweaty and hot and red in the face. And they'd be like, Shantel, are you in the right place? Like, why are you so energetic and happy? And, usually everyone that comes in here is kind of sad and depressed. I'm like, yeah, I'm right where I need to be. I'm here. And let's go. Like, I'm ready for this. We did that day after day, 37 treatments.
Wow.
And every day I walked in smiling and happy, because I had just come from dance. And I'd had an hour of just the most amazing positive energy and movement. I kind of refer to it as meditation, because you turn your brain off for an hour. All you feel in that moment is the music. That's really when I learned the power of movement, the healing power of movement and community. Fast forward, we're in COVID now. It's 2020. Everyone's home. No one's leaving the house. Everyone's scared and feeling very much alone. So I did what comes to me naturally. I said, you know what? We're going to turn on some music in my backyard, and we're going to dance. We're going to bring some of my favorite teachers that aren't working right now, and we're going to help support them, and they're going to help support us with our mental health, and we're just going to do that. We did. It started off with 3-4 friends once a week, and then the second week it was like 10 and 15. Before I knew it, it was 3 times a week. I had 40-50 people in my backyard. And this is during, COVID, where...
It's like the heat of COVID.
Where everyone was like, aren't you scared to be so close to people? And I said, I'm scared not to be so close to people. I'm scared of what's going to happen to me if I don't interact with people like this. I opened up my home. I opened up my backyard. We just danced. We had a DJ some days. We had live drummers. And it was just the most magical thing ever. Let me take a step back. I've never danced outside, not in a studio without a mirror. Okay. So I was like, how does that work? We can't see ourselves dancing. It was such a liberating experience because all of a sudden you're not focused on your movements and technique, and you're not comparing yourself to the people around you. You're just moving to be free. That's kind of where Free by Shantel came from. I was like, you know what? I feel so free in my body right now. I just want everyone else to feel that way. And so a year and a half, we did that in my backyard.
Yeah.
Then we decided, you know what, we need to step this up a little bit and move into a studio. And again, I was worried. I said, you know what, but this space is so special, and we're overlooking the mountains and the sky, and we danced in the rain, we danced in the heat, we danced. It didn't matter what temperature it was outside. Wow. I said, we're going to lose all of that when we go inside of a studio. What I learned was it wasn't the space. It was the collective energy, and that's what really made it so special. So I could go anywhere. As long as I had my community with me, we created that space. It wasn't the space that created us. I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to go into the studio in West Hollywood. I'm going to travel. I'm going to go out to different cities, and I'm going to meet as many women as I can, and I'm going to spread this joy of dance to people that don't necessarily think of themselves as dancers, to people that have never gone to a dance class before. We're going to do really easy steps, but really fun steps. And they're going to learn, and they're going to get it, and we're going to do it until they feel so confident. And I noticed that over time, I wasn't just teaching them how to dance. They were building their self-esteem and their confidence, and things were shifting in their lives. I never knew we could have an impact on people like that. And so some ladies that would come and stand in the back with their head down, wearing dark colors, a few classes in, suddenly they're shifting up, and they're wearing colorful colors, and they have makeup on, and they're standing taller, and they're smiling, and they're talking. Through talking to them and learning more about their life experiences, it really made such a difference in their day-to-day relationships with their partners, with their kids. So I call it healing one step at a time. I know it's a dance class and it's a dance movement, but it's so much more than that.
Wow, there's so much. I could talk to you. Every sentence that you said is its own world. But let's backtrack a little bit to your diagnosis. How did you find that there was something not quite right?
Funny enough, I used to, and I still do, I go to Equinox Gym. And for the longest time, I used to walk by this ad. It was a lady that had had a mastectomy, and there was a tattoo artist drawing a flower on her flat chest. I kept walking by this thinking, why is this here? Why do I have to walk by to walk into the gym, and this is what I have to look at? And it kept bothering me, so much so that I took a picture of it. I posted it on my Instagram, on my personal page, and I said, I'm not sure what this is a sign for, but I just needed to share it with everyone. It's bothering me.
Wow.
It's still there.
Oh,
this
goosebumps.
is back in like 2017, right before my diagnosis.
Wow.
This kind of lingered in the back of my mind. And I started touching around my breast. Granted, I was 35, no history of breast cancer in my family, no reason for me to ever have any concerns or doubts. One night, shortly after, I was wearing a tight bodysuit. The zipper was hitting me in a way that was kind of hurting me. And so I stuck my hand in to like pull the zipper out, and I said, oh, what's that? Felt like a little pea-sized lump, like itty-bitty small.
Wow.
I asked my husband, and he said, you know what, make an appointment with your OBGYN, go see what she says. So I did the next day, and she did a breast exam, and she said, you know what, Shantel, you multiple lumps in your breast that I'm feeling. I'm going to send you for a mammogram. And so I went for a mammogram. They did a mammogram ultrasound. They said, you have dense breast tissue, and you have cystic breasts, like many young women. You're fine. Go home. Nothing to worry about.
Nice.
And so I did. I went home, and I didn't think twice about it. Many of the women in my family had cystic breasts and dense breast tissue, and they had had their cysts removed, and they were all benign. So I thought, okay, well, I'm related to all these women, so I must be in the same boat as them. I went back 6 months later. I said, you know, it's still there. The one I feel. I can't feel the other ones, but the one I feel is still there. Can we just check it out? They did. At the time, in my ultrasound, a lymph node did light up. I didn't know anything about it, but that should have been a red flag to kind of investigate that a little bit more. But again, they said, you know what, Shantel, you're fine. Go home. And so another 6 months goes by, and we're on vacation. I'm putting my bathing suit on. And I go, honey, you know that lump that was there? It feels a little bit bigger. He said, well, you know, it could fluctuate with your hormones, which is true. Why don't you wait a few weeks, and when we get back home, go back for another mammogram. I tend to be a little bit of a hypochondriac, so it's kind of in line with my personality. But he said, you know what? He's entertaining me. Go check it out again. I said, okay. So I made my appointment, went back, same place, and they said, you know what? You're right, Shantel. It has changed, and it is bigger. So we're going to call you next week for a biopsy. I walked out of there, and I called my husband. I said, I'm not waiting one more day, honey. I need you immediately to call someone and find someone to do a biopsy today. And so he made some phone calls. I walked over maybe half hour later, and in the middle of just the ultrasound, before they even started the biopsy, the doctor is saying to me, I just want you to know there are really good treatments out there. So don't be scared. And I'm sitting there thinking, what on earth is she talking about? Treatments for what? Like, this is just a cyst that's growing in my breast. I don't need treatment. And I left feeling really scared and confused. And I had checked off the box for her to call me with results the next day, which I will never do again, because when she called me, I was not at the right place to be hearing that news. And so she called me the next day, and she said, you know what, Shantel, you're right. You were right. You have breast cancer. Probably it's stage 1 based on the size that I see, but we have to do further investigation. We'll let you know what to do, how to proceed. And so that was a shocking moment. That was a shocking moment. And for a long time, I thought it was a moment that defined me. And now I realize 6 years later, it's not the obstacles that define you, it's how you rise to the occasion and how you decide to move forward. So this year, especially this year, and we're finishing October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I decided I'm changing the narrative. I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating my story, everyone's story. So instead of all the why me, why did it happen to me?
Right.
I'm saying thank you that it happened to me, because I get to live my true authentic self unapologetically. That was a gift that cancer gave me.
Yeah, I think there's so much to be said about that narrative, because we create, it's funny, a friend of mine said this a few months ago and it really stuck with me. She basically said, we make shit up and then we believe it and then we act on it and then we defend it. And I was like, that is so true. We create these belief systems about a certain moment in time or a certain period of time or a certain something that happened. And then unfortunately, sometimes we can go really negatively with that until something prompts us to turn around and be like, you know what, that actually needs a reframe. Absolutely. And then from that reframe, you get new growth because you're completely looking at it a different way. Those are words that no woman ever wants to hear. You hung up the phone and...
I just remember feeling like I couldn't breathe. I felt like someone was choking me. And I had I was at a birthday party with my girls at a pool party. And so both my girls were in the pool. And I just remember saying to a friend, I need you to watch my girls, please, and just make sure they're okay. And I walked into the other room and I just started removing, I had some necklaces on. I started taking it off and I just sat down and I started hyperventilating. The rest of it is kind of a blur because then someone called my husband and my mom and they quickly came and took me out of there. But I couldn't breathe. That's what happened next.
And then from there, diagnosis, prognosis, radiation, surgery.
Yeah, surgery, radiation, and then life after cancer. 5 years of medication, 3 of which I was put into a chemical menopause.
Wow.
And then tamoxifen. So
side effects?
Lots, but I chose not to focus on them. Like we said before, everything is perspective.
Yeah.
Everything is perspective and how you choose to look at it. For me, I looked at it as These are vitamins. These are pills that I'm taking that are keeping me safe, that are keeping me alive. It's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I might have some pains and aches, but that's okay. I'm alive. I get to
Right.
put my kids to sleep.
Yeah.
I get to lie down beside my husband. Like, these days are all kind of extra days that were given to me. So I can't be upset about that.
I'm getting so much more of that as I get older. I think the second part of my life, hopefully the second half, we don't know, but hitting 50, I was talking about this before, has brought me to this realization. I'm almost getting a little bit of YOLO, where it's like, I'm only going to be in this. I don't know if my energy is going to be around forever, but this particular realm that I'm living right now, I'm only going to get right now. So I better enjoy every second of it, because I always sort of, and I think we sort of do this generationally and sort of in my family, where like, it's like death is inevitable. I'm cool. It's good. We all die, whatever. But it's like, oh my God, when I die, I will no longer be this. It will be a different realm. It'll be a different life. And so it's given me this tremendous gratitude for every moment of this life, because I don't know what's, I mean,
we just don't know. We don't know. We don't know what tomorrow holds. The rug can get pulled from you at any moment. So my motto is just to enjoy every moment that you can and not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
And even the big stuff. I mean,
for sure.
Everything has a solution, right? So I try not to stress out about stuff. And if it doesn't have a solution, I try to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, my mother-in-law, your grandmother-in-law, says in a very, very strong Persian accent, she says, "Na tarsi, tori mishe," which means don't be afraid, it'll all figure itself out. And I use that a lot, like "Na tarsi, tori mishe." It's all a journey.
And it will. Sometimes it takes longer for it to work out.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a while to see what those silver linings are, but you have to look for them.
And it's not in our time.
Yeah.
Our time is not what the universe's time is, which is sometimes very, very, very difficult.
Yes.
Especially when we're dealing with things we don't want to deal with, which, can be health related. You talked about the mirror. I want to talk to you a little bit about food and body image and mirrors and dance. The second part of the question is the way people look at you or to you as a representative of something. What does that all mean to you?
I'm not sure what they're looking at me for. I like to be someone that promotes and inspires positivity, being kind to yourself and being kind to your body, especially. How are you kind to your body? You use positive words. You give yourself positive reinforcement, right? The same way you would your child. You give it good food, you nourish it well. I try to lead by example, first for myself more than anyone else, right? I try to promote a healthy style of living, so I don't really drink, I don't do any drugs, I don't smoke cigarettes, I try to exercise and work out, probably a little bit too much. But for the ladies that I do interact with, it's about being kind to yourself. I think it starts off with using kind words. So that's where I am at this point of my life. I can't say that I've always been there. I certainly wasn't there in my teens or my 20s or even my 30s. I got married at a really young age. I was 20, and from 20 to 30, I was having babies and postpartum. So I remember looking in the mirror those days and thinking, oh gosh, how do I look like this? And why do I look like this? I wish I could go back to my old self and say, you know what, Shantel, your body just had a baby. It just went through one of the most amazing miracles of life. Be kind to yourself. I guess that comes with time and experience. And so now when I look in the mirror, there are things absolutely that I don't like, and I'd like, for it to be stronger, toner, whatever. With age and time, like things start to sag. It's natural, but I have the opportunity and the years for that sagging skin. I've earned every single wrinkle and every single stretch mark, and I honor my body for carrying me through all those moments of my life. So how can I look in the mirror and think anything other than like, thank you. This is a vessel that God gave me, right? My soul is in this body. So I'm just going to say, thank you for carrying me through. Thank you for waking up. Thank you for... So I have to be kind to it.
What is it that we often come to this after adversity, where we're literally brought to our knees with not knowing what the next day or the next week or the next year is going to look like, where we're like, okay, now I can appreciate. What would it look like if our 9-year-olds looked in the mirror and said that? Our 11-year-olds looked in the mirror and said that. Our 15-year-olds looked in the mirror and said that. And especially in this culture, which is, I mean, we have our own subculture within Los Angeles. You've got LA and Hollywood on one side, and then you've got Iranian culture on the other side, which comes with a lot of its own stigmas and body image and sort of male-dominated preferences of how women's bodies should look that have come throughout the ages from the Middle East. The comfort I feel now in my body as a 50-year-old is not what I felt as a teenager and as an adolescent. How I wish that our 8-year-olds could look in the mirror and be like, oh, look at me. My hips are changing. I'm rounder. I'm getting breasts. Oh, look at... What is it going to take for our culture to get that?
I think it starts from the top down. I really do. And the reason why I say that is I have 2 girls. One is 13 and 16. Both totally different body types, but both so comfortable in their own skin. That to me means so much than what they look like.
For sure. For sure. It's leaps and bounds. They're ahead of the game in this life game.
Absolutely.
With that, actually, the other day, my 4-year-old granddaughter, Noah, was sitting on my lap and we were talking about belly buttons. And of course, she has the cutest belly button ever. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about her belly button. And she goes, where's your belly button, Grandma? And she lifts up my shirt. And she goes, where is it? Why is your belly so smushy? And I was like, because Grandma has a smushy belly. Because Grandma's a grandma. Grandma has 3 babies. Grandma has 2 grandbabies. This is the way Grandma's body is. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, she was so overjoyed by it.
By the way, you're the youngest, coolest, hippest.
So I love you.
You say grandma, and I almost can't even believe it.
Thank you. She's just so, I feel like I'm getting so much healing modeling to her being comfortable in your own body.
Yes.
Because at every moment of her life, and thank God they live close and I'm able to do that, I have marveled at everything about her, from the little waves to the little toes to the belly button to whatever. And I just wish I had that for myself as a younger mother. I mean, my girls always say that, we never talked about food and body in our house. It was always very much a very body love, body accepting household. We don't talk about other people's bodies ever. It was just like a rule. We don't talk about bodies. If someone started talking about someone's body, we'd be like, we don't talk about people's bodies in this house. So they grew up with that. I just remember puberty coming around like I was surrounded by a veil of shame. I wish I worked to change that. And I wish it were different for so many women, because that's where it begins.
That's our job now, right?
Yeah.
That's our job now
for sure,
to talk about it, to empower women to talk about it.
Yeah.
I grew up very similar to you with a veil of shame around my prepubescent years. I remember when my breasts came in, I was very young. I was in like 4th or 5th grade. And my mom didn't think it was appropriate for me to wear a bra. I grew up in New York, so it was very cold. And I remember I'd wear like turtlenecks and my boobs would stick out. My nipples would get hard and I would be cold. And I'd walk around with my books in front of my chest because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
It took a while. I think I got my first like sports bra when I was in like 7th grade. I was a double D. So
I know that life.
When my daughters I think they were in kindergarten or 1st grade, they were flat as a wall. And I remember saying, do you guys want a sports bra? Do you want to wear something underneath your t-shirt? And they loved it.
Oh,
they loved it.
I mean,
they didn't need it.
What a beautiful option.
I've been so open with them about their growing bodies and the changes in their bodies. And even like the talks about sex and this and that. Sometimes, your nephew thinks I'm being a little bit inappropriate. There's never been like one big talk about anything because it's always been casual conversation throughout the years when we find opportunities to talk about something. And so there's no shame. There's no shame about periods. There's no shame about bodies. There's no conversation that's uncomfortable that we haven't spoken about. And it's not uncomfortable because it's a part of life.
And because you're their mom and you've modeled that.
Who are they going to talk to about that?
Yeah.
I'd rather educate them with the information I want them to know than for them to go get misinformation from friends.
Absolutely. I actually often teach adolescents when the letter comes out that we're going to be teaching this in class. I will often get calls from panicked parents.
Yes.
Of what are you going to talk about and how are you going to frame it and what's that going to look like? I think it was a conversation we were having about it's your body, so you can take a mirror and look at your body and examine your body and know your body parts. Why should your doctor be the first person who looks at your body, or your lover or the person who you want to share your body with? Why aren't we teaching our girls to look at their bodies? And this came to me when I offered one of my clients a mirror during childbirth, and she said, "Ew, gross." And I thought, wow, we refer to our bodies as gross. We refer to birth as gross, change as gross. It was such a moment of, when did it become okay to call the natural processes of our body gross?
Right.
And I hear it over and over again, but I often have to. One mom was really upset at me because I think her thing was, you're just giving my daughter too much autonomy. If we don't teach our daughters autonomy from now, when is that going to come in? When is the right time to teach autonomy? It's actually in the womb is when the right. And it's not about do things against your parents, don't tell anybody. It's not about that, but it's about that teamwork that I feel like in our culture is still missing.
Yes, it is still missing.
In so many ways, because my generation was certainly brought up, cover yourself, that's inappropriate, that's shameful, your skirt's too short, your boobs are showing, your arms are showing, this, that, the other. So I feel like a lot of women of my generations have that don't be a loose woman feel, right? But then you get married and you're expected to become an animal in the bedroom.
How does that work?
How does that work? And the number of women my age, in my culture, in my community, in my society that I talk to who say, I've never had an orgasm. I don't know what that is. How does that even work? I've never even looked at myself down there. It has to begin so much sooner. And sometimes when I talk, I feel like people think that I'm like the crazy hippie in the neighborhood. Like, oh, just she's a little too much, right? Why is it too much? Why are we so uncomfortable with it?
I don't know.
We're so comfortable with so many inappropriate things in our culture.
Well, it's our culture though. They've made us like this, right? We should talk about it. We should have these uncomfortable conversations. We really should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we came to LA under the backdrop of sexuality and movies and TV and Hollywood. And fashion. We all sort of got confused. My grandma used to say something funny. She's like, we emigrated from Iran. We are not, what did she say? The word for an ostrich in Farsi is a camel chicken.
How do you say it?
Shotor morg.
Oh my God.
It's called, an ostrich is called a camel chicken.
Shotor morg.
Shotor morg. She's like, na ma na shotorim na morgim, shotor morgim. Like we're neither a camel nor a chicken. We're a camel chicken because we've taken like a little bit from everywhere and it's made this
what we are now.
New culture. And only now, 40, 50 years after the revolution, are we sort of now taking shape. And some things have changed so beautifully, and some things were broken, and they became further broken under the backdrop of a new culture.
Yes.
When you got the news of your diagnosis, I know in my culture we have this like, oh, something bad happened. It's evil energy. It's the evil eye. It's bad. It's
let's not talk about
culture.
it.
Let's not talk about it. There's that also. Talk to me a little bit about that. What was your process?
I immediately knew that I had to share with my friends because I needed their support.
Yeah.
I needed their love. I couldn't do it alone.
Yeah.
And so I did. I shared it with the people that I was closest to. And then I started sharing with the people at my kids' school because I needed them to help me also. The more I shared, the more healing I was receiving, the more love I was receiving. And it felt good. It felt so much better than just to walk that journey alone. It took me 5 years to talk about it on social media. The reason why I waited 5 years goes back to my husband and mom didn't want me to talk about it. And I respect that. They're much more private individuals than I am. I don't see being diagnosed with cancer as a negative thing. I don't see it as something that I did wrong. And I saw an opportunity to share that with the world and kind of inspire them to talk more about it and to educate young women about things that they don't know.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we don't know. So if I could be someone that's an advocate to teach young women about their health, then what I went through wasn't in vain, right? And why keep that to myself? Right? That became my strength.
But why do you think our culture is so don't talk about it? Culturally, we have a very tight-lipped...
But it's because it's taboo. It's almost like, well, you did something wrong, right? You did something wrong to get cancer. Or, you know what, you have girls that want to get married and maybe they will get cancer one day, God forbid, and someone won't come marry them for that reason. Like, there's just so much backwards thinking that's so stupid and ridiculous. Honestly, at this day and age, unfortunately, there's not one person that you talk to that hasn't been affected by cancer.
Yeah.
Whether it's their best friend, their mom, their sister, their aunt, everyone. When I do these big fundraisers or these classes, I'll start off and say, who knows someone close to them that has had cancer? And everyone will raise a hand.
Yeah. I think it's the illusion of control. I talk about this often. We create belief systems, and I think even superstition falls in that if you do ABC, then you will avert DEF. And so by not talking, you don't create some energy towards you that will be of hindrance to you later on, which is like what you were saying about your daughters, right? That, oh, well, this could be genetic, this could be dangerous, they want to get married, just don't say anything. And I often say, because I talk about a lot of very raw topics on this podcast, and there are people that are like, I'm sorry, I can't. And it's often stuff that's so close and dear to my heart. And I often say to myself, like, I'm so sorry that my experience is such an inconvenience for you. Like, it must be really hard for you to have to listen to like what my lived experience was. That's fine. Don't listen. But I don't get it.
Well, because it's triggering, but I'll explain it to you. It's triggering to people because they're not comfortable to talk about it, right? So either they want to be in a place where they're comfortable to talk about it. They want to have that experience. They want to be you. They see something in you that triggers feelings inside of them that doesn't make them feel good. They rather just avoid it.
Do you ever feel like the community wild one?
Yes.
A little giggle. Tell me more.
Yes, I do.
What does that mean to you?
I mean, listen, at 16, I graduated from high school, went on to college, and followed the sound of the drums, right? And it led me to an African dance class, that's what I'm trained in. So,
which I actually didn't know that about you. I thought you started dancing in 2020.
I
had no idea.
I've been dancing my entire life.
It's amazing.
And so, funny enough, I was like the only Persian girl in an African dance class. And I did feel very much like the black sheep of the community because we started traveling and performing on stage. It was like, wait, what? You're doing what? So yes, I always kind of did feel like the black sheep. And then I decided to, you know what, I need to conform to society and I need to fit myself into this little box because it's kind of lonely sometimes being the outsider.
Oh, yeah.
And so I tried so hard. Eventually my true colors came out, right?
As
came
they
out
do.
again. You can try to suppress who you are as much as
light has to shine.
But eventually it all kind of came out. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. I'm in a place in my life where, yeah, I do. I'm sure I get judged all the time. I don't really care.
Do you have haters?
I don't like that word.
Tell me more.
I don't like that word. I don't think people can hate someone they don't know.
Well, interesting. Makes sense.
I think in order to really hate someone, they have to have done something super awful to you. Right?
Yeah.
In general, I try to be kind to everyone. And so if there is someone that is judging me or dislikes me for whatever reason, I feel like it goes back to, well, I'm probably triggering something in them. Yeah. They see something in me that's causing them to feel a certain way, whether it's out of insecurity. I don't know. I take that as an opportunity to grow and to maybe invite them to a class. I like being judged. It helps me to grow.
Wow.
It does. It helps me.
I've never heard that before.
It helps me to grow.
Oh, because you always hear like, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge me. I won't judge you. We won't judge. I love that perspective.
Yeah, I don't think there are haters in the world. I really don't. I think there's just people that are insecure and they don't know how to necessarily communicate how they're feeling. So they rather put you down to make themselves feel better. For me, that's an invitation to help them. That person needs healing.
Yeah.
And love. And maybe I might not be the right person. In general, when you sit around judging other people, it's because you're not in a happy place. I invite those people to really sit with themselves and see what they need to do in order to feel fulfilled. Because when you're happy, when you're really, truly happy from the inside, you see the beauty in everyone.
Yeah. So true. So true. Talk to me about celebrity.
At Elot Market?
At anywhere. You're recognized in so many other places than Elot Market.
I don't really feel like I'm recognized. I feel like I run into people all the time that want to give me a hug. Aww. That feel like they know me because of social media and Instagram. And I love those people that come up to me and give me hugs. I love hugs. Hugs is such a good way to transfer like positive energy. I certainly don't think I'm a celebrity by any means. I think I'm someone that's dancing and spreading love. That's it. Right.
My next question was, how do you stay grounded and humble? So
no, and I'll tell you something. I don't ever want to be looked at a celebrity, right? Because I feel like with that lifestyle, you kind of lose a little bit of privacy and comfort.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I want to continue just being any other person.
Which actually brings me to, how do you stay somewhat private and protected in light of so much social media presence? How can you keep the integrity of your family privacy?
I share mostly from my dancing, right, and my cancer journey. I don't really share the private moments of my family life, right, because I do want to keep that somewhat private, especially my kids. And so it's two separate things.
Yeah, you have boundaries around them.
I have boundaries. That's what I learned in my 40s, was boundaries.
How did you learn that?
Yeah, just being able to, again, goes back to the gift of cancer, being able to say no. I used to never say no. I always said yes. If I could do something, yes, okay, I'm there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've learned boundaries with friends, with employees, with my children, with my husband. Everything needs boundaries.
Absolutely. So much learning takes place. Amidst all the many hats that you wear, how do you prioritize your husband?
Oh, he always comes first.
How?
Always, without fail. I'm always thinking about like what his needs are. So does he need me to be present there? Can I schedule my class at this time? Like, does he have dinner? But he has been so incredibly supportive in every way, shape, or form. And I think, we're going on 21 years of marriage soon. So part of me prioritizing him is him prioritizing me, right? So it goes both ways. He makes it easy for me to make him a priority.
That's so sweet.
I'm so grateful for him. There's no way I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for him.
Thank God our husbands are related. My husband, too, is very, very supportive. And we were actually talking about this earlier about I'm so strong-willed. He is so logical and has such like an engineering brain that I come up with these ideas that I think are amazing. And before I'm even done saying it, he's already done all the calculations and he's like, bad idea, honey. I don't think that's going to work. And I had this big thing where I was like, can you just humor me for 5 minutes as I'm going through this dream idea that I have, right? We had a little back and forth about that. We had some growing to do, which thank God we got through. When you have visions and ideas and plans and growth, how much of your husband's input is in that? Does he partner with you in that part of your work, or is he just wind beneath your wings?
Funny enough, he is always the one pushing me to grow more, to do more. Open up your own studio. You can do it. Like, I'll find you the space. And so he's much more than the wind beneath my wings. I'm content. I live in a space of contentment, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. But often when you're content, you don't necessarily strive to do bigger things, right? You don't push yourself. Yeah. And part of that is the fear of failure. And I get it. I understand. A lot of times I don't do things because I'm scared of how they're going to turn out. Oh, yeah. Where he's like, you're going to do it. Even if you fail, what's the worst that can happen? Right. So he's literally my number one fan, my biggest supporter. I would not be here doing what I do if it wasn't for him. There have been moments where I'm like, honey, you know what? I think I've done what I needed to do. I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm tired. My body hurts. I'm like, I can't dance anymore. Then I'm already dancing. And he's like, this is what you love, but this is what you're meant to do, Shantel. You can't stop now. You have so much more to do. Right. And so he's constantly always pushing me to do more.
So powerful.
Well, having that support, and having someone like that.
Priceless.
It's priceless.
Yeah. And I think you need to have a husband who's very comfortable with himself. Yes. And very confident in who he is and very constitutionally strong and content. He's content. Yes. And so he's able to help you grow. Whereas I feel like sometimes in relationships and in families, when one person is growing, the other person almost can't handle it because they're not comfortable with where they are.
Yeah. And listen, we've gone through it, right? In every marriage. I can't say that we've been at this place for the past 20 years.
Oh, for sure.
Right? At every level, you're having children, things are changing and shifting.
It's dynamic.
The dynamic changes. You have 2 children, the dynamic changes.
Absolutely.
You know, when we got married, I was 21, he was 26.
Yeah.
We were kids.
Yeah. I was there.
Yes, you were there. You were there at the wedding.
I was there. I watched you do it.
Right? We moved to Houston. We came back. We started new jobs together. You know, he was on faculty at UCLA. I was back in finance. I was working super hard, long hours. The dynamic was so very different. Yeah. And so, yes, it's taken us a really long time, but a lot of growth. And I'm so happy that we were able to, I don't want to say grow apart, but we grew on our own, and then we grew together. And then we grew on our own, and we grew together. And that's the beauty in a really lasting relationship.
God. Yeah, mashallah, as we say. God bless. I'm so grateful you came on today.
Thank you for having me.
You're so much light and so much joy and so much just genuine love. And my last question, which is I have 2 questions to end with. When you talk about genuinity, and you're actually one of the most genuine people I know, and you're so kind and you're so nice amidst so much success, thank God. Do you ever get accused of being fake, or hear that someone called you fake or thinks you're fake, or they're like, are you really this? How can that be? How can the 2 come together? And what do you do with that?
We were at a party one time. Mm-hmm. The person sitting next to me turned over and said, I can't believe that you're really this nice. I really can't. Yeah. So it must be all fake.
Right? Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know how to respond because I was so taken back and offended.
It's hurtful.
It is really hurtful.
It's really hurtful.
It is really hurtful.
Yeah.
My husband was sitting next to me, and he kind of heard the conversation, and then so he kind of jumped in and started saying something to her. We got up and left shortly after. I had to remove myself because I couldn't sit at this table next to this person anymore.
Wow.
I was so hurt by it. That's the only time anyone's ever really said that to me. It wasn't someone that I knew closely. It wasn't someone that I really see often.
Yeah.
And so
it's a form of gaslighting, really.
I don't really know. I think maybe she had a few drinks too many. I'm not sure. Right?
It was something.
It was something in the air.
Yeah, we've got to pray for her.
It is what it is. But it goes back to, that was a while ago. If someone said that to me now, I would like probably laugh it off. Right? Because I'm in such a different space now.
Yeah.
So if there's someone out there that thinks that I'm fake, not everyone has to like me. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Nope.
And I'm okay with
and
that.
And thank God. Who
and
wants to be everyone's cup of tea?
No, but
absolutely
you know
not. That would be like Starbucks. No thanks.
No. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that at this age.
Right. Lastly, what would you say to that person who gets that call from the doctor? We found cancer.
Oh, that's a big question. I get maybe 2 to 3 phone calls a week with newly diagnosed women. It started off with like 1 a month, 2 a month. I could be, picking up my kids, and I'm like, you guys, I need 5 minutes. Let me just step outside for a minute. And they know that it's one of those phone calls.
Yeah.
The first thing that I say is, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And that's what they want to hear from me. That's why they're calling me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they see that I'm okay. More than okay. And they want my strength, and they want me to tell them. And I truly believe, in the last 6 years, every single person that's called me is doing more than okay. But they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared. Usually they've received all this information and they don't know what to do with it, and they don't know what it means. Yeah. So I try to take the time to explain everything to them as best as I can. Honestly, in the last 6 years, so much has changed. So I don't necessarily know about the new tests that are out right now. There's a lot of new medication that's out too. Yeah. So I can only share my experience and what I went through. I don't try to be a doctor, but I'm there for moral support and to give tips on what you can do to your skin while you're going through radiation, and how to moisturize. Put your creams in the refrigerator so that when you put it on, it's cold and it feels better. The side effects I felt with tamoxifen and how you can combat that. I can just speak on what I've experienced. But my biggest advice to everyone, and I say this all the time, there's a little goldfish. There's a picture of a goldfish that has a fake shark tail, and all you see is the shark tail sticking out of the water. Underneath it says, be brave, even if you need to pretend. My screensaver on my phone for a very long time. I know that while they're waiting to get their results, and while they're waiting to find out, that anxiety that comes with going in for your scans and getting your biopsy and doing all the tests that you need to do, sometimes you have weeks to wait.
Waiting.
And that time period is absolutely the worst. There's not much I can say except pretend, be brave.
We say act as if.
Act as if.
Act as if.
And you will be fine. With all the technology and how medicine has advanced these days, everyone's doing okay. Thank God.
Thank God.
That's it. It's a part of life. Can't say why me anymore. You have to say thank you.
Yeah.
It just takes a while to get there.
Someone said, instead of saying why me, say why not me. Right? It's why me is a futile question.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Exactly.
Me.
Right.
So
you're incredible.
Thank you.
I'm
you for
so
having
grateful
me on.
for this hour together. Thanks for listening to the Mamatoosa podcast on the Industry Plant Podcast Network. Mamatoosa is hosted by me, Atusa Benji, and produced by Josh Stretton Carlson. Chris Agnew is our audio editor, and our theme music is composed by Mary Lalazarian. If you enjoyed the podcast, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. See you next Tuesday.